What's up, what's up? It's Joey Blush Response, and I've got a new video for you. This is the first in a new series where I'll be talking to artists and equipment makers and various other interesting people about what they do, gear, music, stories, and everything in between. This is the first episode, and I've got PHASE Fatale here with me. We did a nice Zoom chat. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the inaugural Megastructure podcast. We have PHASE Fatale here. What's going on?
Hey, greetings from Tbilisi. This is Hayden here.
How's Tbilisi?
It's going all right. Everything's slowly progressing. It's fine.
I see you got your modular set up there. How's it making music over there? Is the different environment nice, or?
Yeah, the different environment's nice, but making it in the corner here in the bedroom is not great. But other than Unhuman and I are building a studio now in like a real studio space, which is going to be really nice.
Okay, this kind of taking it back to the college days.
Yeah, now it's like this, but yeah, we will have a real studio, 26 square meters, 2 rooms, acoustic treatment, real speakers.
Nice.
Lots of gear.
What speakers are you gonna have?
Yeah, the Focal Alpha 80s. I think for in that price range, they're really, I think, the best, and I think even a strong contender to Atoms and stuff. So I think in that price range, they're the best until you go up to this like above $1,000 or something, and then you're in this different field. And of course, those monitors are much better. But I think this is like, I always recommend Focals to everybody.
Yeah, totally. I like them. I was impressed when I heard Manos's.
Yeah.
So we have some questions here. The first being, tell us about yourself and your history in music.
Okay, so I mean, now I'm doing this PHASE Fatale electronic music project, but of course I started playing music since I was first started playing guitar when I was like 10 years old, so that's quite a while ago. And yeah, from there I was playing in bands, mostly in post-punk stuff, and I was always doing playing with electronic instruments as well, like using synths and drum machines and stuff, because a lot of these post-punk bands also, of course, used all that gear. So it was always a cross, but I never really got into making dance music per se. And then, of course, eventually that progressed as in my 20s or something, and moving to Berlin, of course, really cemented that. So yeah, I guess I have a long history of playing music and studying guitar and going to music school and everything like that.
Yeah, that's about what I remember, because for those who don't know, we've been friends for quite a long time now. I think going on 12 years.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you switched to techno, what was the reasoning? Besides the fact that it was awesome being at techno parties in Berlin.
Yeah, I mean, at first, when I first started getting into techno, I was really into this more crossover stuff that was slightly more industrial or more indie or more post-punk. So I think most of it was kind of from Hospital Productions. So this first Silent Servant album is a huge one, and also Vatican Shadow. I think that those are 2 things. That's all coming from Hospital, because I was really into this label in New York and the store and everything. So when Dominic started kind of introducing this kind of like Sandwell District affiliated sounds to his world more, I think that's what really got me into it at first. But then I think, when I was in New York, I was barely over 21 and stuff, so I couldn't go to any of these clubs and have this experience of experiencing this kind of music in a club, because I wasn't allowed in. And I think then going to Berlin and finally experiencing it and seeing that this music is, especially, really stuff with substance, like what I just mentioned, of course, is meant to be listened to at home and everything, but it's really music that's supposed to be connected with a place. So then when you're finally in the place that the music is connected with, it's a whole different feeling, and then you realize that it's like that's the sum of it. And then that's what really inspired me, was like, wow, like this music is created for this, and I want to do that too. And then it was just like really fast after that.
It was pretty much the same for me. The first time we went to Berghain together, I was like, what the fuck? Completely mind-blowing. And at this point we're both deeply into the techno thing, but that was like an affirmation, like, yes, I like this for a reason, and the reason is because it's this amazing, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, when this music is played on that kind of sound system, it's completely different. You could turn your headphones or your speakers at home all the way up, and it's not the same, just because of the sound, but also because of the whole atmosphere. Like, you can't get this at home. I guess you can try.
You can try your best with some dim lights and a few substances, but I don't know about the sound system.
I have water here. Yeah.
Let's take it back a bit. So, okay, you were into electronics from the start. What was your first synth ever?
I think the first synth was the Prophet 600. I think that was my first synth. I think it was a Christmas present, and the first one I got didn't work. Like the chip, it's 6 voices, right? So the one voice chip was burnt out. And I was bummed. I was like, "Oh, my first synth doesn't even work." And then I found returned it, and then found another one, and it's super cool. I still wish I had it. It really has a unique sound that I think is even different than the Prophet 5 a little bit. I don't know. It's like it's very dark and murky kind of synth, and it's not so good for really tight bass lines or sounds like that, because like the envelopes are software controlled, and it's, I think, one of the first, it's like really primitive software controlling it, so it's just not fast enough to make something like that. But you know, the strings and all these effects sounds are really cool, and it has really nice modulation. I mean, I think now Behringer is supposed to remake it with all these mods that somebody did to the firmware or software inside it, and then they're going to include that in the synth. And those mods fix, for example, the slow envelopes and stuff, as well as opening more things up and maybe adding more modulation or something. I don't know. And so so maybe now I can get back my first synth that way.
That would be a good one to get back. It's so good sounding. I played one at Chris Cox's studio. It was pretty beautiful sounding. Did you know that Jeff Mills' H-Bomb record is done on the Prophet 600?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
no,
I read an interview with Aphex Twin, and he called it out that the main track from that record is a Prophet 600 preset.
Oh, really? Prophet 600 just with lots of distortion.
Yeah. So that was an interesting fact, what I found out.
Yeah.
And obviously you missed the Prophet, and you know how it is. We go through a lot of synths. What are some synths on your list that you got rid of that you would like to get back?
Cork vinyl poly. That's the number one. That was so stupid, because I got that way before the prices were above $1,000 or anything like that. And I also modified it myself to have an LFO. Wait, what was the modification? I think I modified it so that you could have a clocked LFO, because it has this trigger in the back for the arpeggiator gate or something. So I modified it so that you could have it clock this LFO and clock the sample and hold and everything. So before it was just random. So then it was really cool, because then you could make sequences with it, and the LFO was clocked, so you could do and then it already had this weird 4-voice thing, so you can make very complex sequences with it all of a sudden, because it has 2 LFOs already, and then the 4 oscillators, and it's really, really complex synths, and making that mod really opened it up, and also made it really special, because no other monopoly could really do that unless somebody else did the mod. I even did it for a university project. But I don't know why. I don't even know why I sold it with this mod, because it just sounds so good. I haven't tried the new Behringer one yet, but maybe they also added this modification so you can clock the LFO now, make it a bit more modern. I don't know. But yeah, I really regret selling that. But then recently I tried it out again at a friend's house, and it didn't do it for me like it did before. So maybe it's but I don't know. I think if I sat down with it and used it, what else? There's so many things. This Yamaha CS15, that's also cool.
Oh, I wish I kept mine too. That one was amazing.
What else did I have? Oh, this Oberheim OBA.
Oh yeah, dude, I always told you to keep that one.
Yeah, I mean, I had that when I was a noob, so I didn't know what to do with it or anything, and I wasn't making more experimental stuff. Then it was just more plain string sounds on it and stuff. So I think that would have been cool to have. But I mean, Roland SH1. Just every synth ever. So,
I remember that day at your place with the SH1 and the monopoly where you showed me the audio rate LFO on the monopoly, and then the SH1.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah, and the SH1 filter through the bass amp.
Yeah. The SH1 filter is really special because it's slightly different than even SH2, and then of course way better than like the later the SH101 stuff.
Yeah,
and it comes. The SH1 architecture is coming from the System 700, which is before the 100M. And yeah, that synth was amazing, and I also got that way before this like vintage craze, and it looked really nice, and that was a great synth for like a one oscillator synth. It did so much because the way they designed it. That one, I think, yeah. And I had this and the monopoly at the same time, and it was
it was a special one.
Yeah, I also regret my SQ80 and Sonic. I have all regrets. This N-Sonic SQ80 was also because when I took it on the plane. I checked it on the plane from New York to Berlin, and on the way, it was old and something got screwed up with it. And then I remember I got to Berlin and it wouldn't turn on, and instead of keeping it and trying to fix it, I was just like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to sell it. I can get something else because they're worth a lot more in Europe than in America. And then I got the ESQ1, but the SQ80 is much better because of these extra transient waveforms and stuff. You know, it has like metal hammer or pipe or plucking a string or something, and it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I like those waveforms a lot. They're also in the VFX series, so I got to try them. You remember when the keyboard stand broke under the SQ80 at Weird?
Yeah. That's probably part of why. I mean, that synth, even when I got that synth, it came like, from FedEx or whatever, and the box was already broken when I got it.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this too. It came like wet in the rain or something.
Yeah, it was, and the box was all ripped open and stuff. And so the synth saw that, like, rest in peace.
Rest in pieces.
Yeah. Or maybe the guy did. I don't know. Yeah.
And Sonic's going way up in value now, I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was the last. I mean, finally everybody caught on, because even these VFXs or something where like nobody wanted it. At least the SQ80 and SQ1 had analog filters, so that made it like analog. But now even the really digital ones are expensive. And then I just had this EPS 16, which was also super cool, but it's just the old. It's a very archaic interface, and you can achieve the same result in the laptop, basically.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same with my ASR 10. I was like, it sounds amazing, but it's just not that fun to use, So
yeah, I mean, when I use Ableton Sampler and I load, as long as the samples you load into it are cool, it's gonna sound cool. So yeah. I think it's more about the source material than the way it's played back, and you could do, of course, a lot in Ableton.
I definitely agree with that. Although I gotta say, I like the sound of some of those samplers. Still.
Yeah. What else did I? I'm sure I had other samplers. I can't remember.
What have you got in the studio with you over there now?
I have the Eurorack. I have the Access Virus C.
Cool.
In the Eurorack, it's like the main oscillator is like this Localic. I have a Dixie, the Surge VCF, Polyvox VCF. And then I have this Behringer Pro one, which sounds really awesome.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
People were complaining about them before, and then something wasn't right. Like the whole thing just didn't sound like a Pro one, and then they updated the firmware in it, and somehow it's like, voila, it sounds like 1-to-1 now. And then I have the Roland. I can't pick it up this point. I have the Roland TR-8S, which is my go-to drum machine at the moment.
I've still not tried that one out. It's
great, and then they also updated it a few months. That's not so recent anymore. They updated it a bit ago, and it has these FM synthesis in it as well now. So, I mean, you could basically do everything. The sampling is great. It's like really good that you could pitch the samples, but then it has this rate. So it's so you could pitch the samples like in an old school way. And it goes really, like, it has a huge range. You could just, it can go like super, super, super low. It's like really stretched out.
That's awesome. I gotta try that out one day. Or the 6S even I was looking at. Did you say you brought the machine drum there? Or
Nope. No.
Okay, so
another regret, the mono machine.
Oh, yeah, man.
I was stupid.
Yeah, now they're so expensive too. I wish I kept mine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about my machine drum because only the one output works, and I asked them if they could fix it, and they were just like, no, like they don't have the service parts or anything available for it anymore.
Wow.
So when the other output goes, I have a dead machine drum, and if I will have to get it, I definitely will want another one.
Does the headphone out work?
No, but see, the problem is before that. So also, like, so say the right side's broken. The right side's also broken in the headphones. So it's coming before. Yeah.
God. And it's probably some obscure op amp or something.
Yeah, it's really distorted. I guess I can build in distortion.
Not so bad for industrial,
Yeah, true.
Yeah. If money were no object, what would be in your studio?
The Roland System 100, the original one, like the gray one, the full thing.
Yeah, with the speakers and everything.
I don't need the speakers, but yeah, but I want the mixer because it has a spring reverb, and I want the sequencer and the keyboard, and then this extension, and the Roland System 100M, and the SH7, SH5, all the Roland stuff.
I'm sensing a
Surge. Surge modular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's enough Roland. Maybe ARC 2600, although now that's kind of more available. What else?
I'm really curious how the Korg and the Behringer compare.
Yeah, I'm sure they're the same.
Probably.
And then I don't know what else. I think that would make me quite happy. Maybe a Prophet VS, something like that. Some old digital wavetable synth, or maybe just a Quantum.
Quantum's pretty hard to beat.
But if you're thinking about vintage synths, then I would say something like that. Maybe Roland Jupiter 6.
The 6 is amazing, man. That's the best one of the Jupiters, I think.
But yeah, definitely Surge, all the Roland modulars. That would be almost enough. And then probably VS for some pads.
Yeah, those crunchy, grainy wavetable pads.
Yeah. Maybe.
Or not technically wavetable, wave vector.
Right.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
If you were on a desert island, which one of those would it be?
Which one of those? Well, if I was on a desert island.
In general, yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I'm kind of doing it now, right? I only could take a few things with me.
Yeah.
But if I really could take something, maybe I would say the Waldorf Q is probably one of the most versatile synths, and it has an awesome sound, and it could just really go from anything. Maybe that, or this Access Virus. I would take something like this that can do a wide range of stuff. It has like many different functions.
Those are both pretty solid choices.
Maybe you can get away with just a Korg MS-20. It also makes so many different sounds.
That's a really special one too. Did you find much difference between the original MS-20 and the Mini?
Yes. The original MS-20 definitely has like I got it with the same filter, like the IC35 or whatever. That's the sought after first filter. But even though they're the same, I could say that the original definitely has a bit more. It goes to more extremes or something. And I think because mine's old and it's like a little not 100% serviced, it's a little bit wild, which is good in this case. But it's like playing out of tune sometimes, or sometimes the resonance is going crazy. So that's part of it. But maybe a brand new MS-20 in the 70s off the straight out of the factory would be the same as the MS-20 Mini now. So I think that's always what people are complaining about, clones and stuff. when they compare like a TB303 that's been beat to shit for 40 years compared to a clone, and they're like, oh, it sounds different. But of course, like those components were only made to last for 20, 30 years or something, and then like especially these old components, the capacitors and they're all made with paper inside and stuff, and the paper rots away.
Yeah.
So of course the sound is changing.
Yeah, it's funny to compare the old ones because you can even get two old units together and they don't sound the same.
Yeah, because they're all taken care of differently and stuff. It's like, I don't know, their car or something.
Yeah, the 303, I'm doing a comparison this weekend because I got the Behringer and I never cared about the 303 before. Now I'm obsessed. And so my buddy Jonas has two original 303s and he's bringing them over. We're going to compare all three.
Well, yeah, I never used... The only thing I used was like a Zox box forever, really, really, really long ago. And I didn't have anything to compare it with or anything. I also did it like dry. I didn't run into pedals or anything, so I probably wasn't doing... I didn't get it then. But I'm curious, because every time I hear a sound in a song, I'm like, oh, I really like this. What is it? I'm like, oh, it's a 303 sample. So it's the same, even this SH101 can get you. It just has to be processed a lot. It's like a good raw source.
I think that's really the magic there, that it's like an amazing raw source.
Yeah. Yeah, but those same oscillators you can also get in the Roland System 100.
Exactly, and there you go.
The Roland System 100, the TB303 technology is taken from the Roland System 100. I mean, of course, it's like changed a bit and stuff, but that's the same filter, etc. But I think the part of the magic, I mean, you tell me, because the 303 is really the sequencer with its accents and slides and everything, and that's adding a lot to the way the sound is used.
I would definitely say that that's a huge part of it, the accent and slide.
Yeah.
Speaking of Roland filters, when I was at Heckman's, we were doing that record, man, the 100M was the most impressive of his old modulars. And I'm talking between the Moog and the PPG, the 100M blew my mind. Even better than the ARP.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many famous cool records are made with this? I mean, Chris and Cozy and Slash Driving Gristle, that's all 100M, like Hot on the Heels of Love, all this early Front 242 stuff. I mean, I sent you this video of this old minimal synth band Hardcore, and you see like in the background they're playing live, and they have like this giant 100M. It's like three systems or something. And it's playing the song live. And
so you gotta send me that again.
Yeah, it's like so. I mean, it's really cool. But the original System 100 still.
I love the original 100. I played that in Hamburg at this studio, Synthesizer Studio Hamburg, it's literally called, and I couldn't get away from it. And they had everything there, like the Oscar, the PPG.
Yeah.
It was on the Soft Moon tour.
It's something really great. Did it come with the mixer? Was it playing through with its mixer?
It was a full 100 speakers mixer.
I think this mixer has something special with it too, because it's like overdriving really easy. That's adding to the sound as well.
Yeah.
I know Terrence Fixmer uses it a lot. I'm jealous.
He's got those crazy bass lines.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something really with this. I go, it's because it's the 303 filter too, so it's like this really acidic filter that's good for like trippy stuff and everything. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you bring in the ring modulation, a bit of oscillator FM, and it's like metallic, but never harsh. It's always pleasant. That's what I like about that stuff.
They used it like on the first two albums for like everything, drums, synths, the whole.
Oh yeah, I love Travelogue. Like the faster version of Being Boiled, amazing.
Yeah, they're both good.
How do you do this when you're trying to do live setups? How do you translate your sound to a live environment?
Well, before I was using doing a hybrid laptop slash with synths and drum machine sets. So the laptop would be doing stems, because a lot of sounds I use are they're not very raw sources that I can recreate again. They're used through so many effects like in the computer or like pedals and stuff that there's no way I can recreate that sound again live and like so fast, I would need multiple synths that have presets or something to jump to the sounds, all the different sounds like that. So I just do it with stems on the computer, and then I have the drum patterns programmed into the Roland TR8S, and then it has the sampler in it too. So if I have a specific drum sounds, I can load it in there. And then, for hi-hats and stuff, you could just use kind of more standard stuff. And then I treat the stems as almost as if it was a DJ set, like mixing in between them with a controller, like as if I had two or three decks, and it was mixing between the stems.
That's cool.
And so that's how I'm approaching it. Next, I went on the stems.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's effect sends in Ableton for the stems going to reverb, distortion, filters, and stuff. And yeah, so it's like, so that's how it's usually doing, just like carving things in and out, really as if they were tracks, full tracks. And then doing the drums on top, and I would have the MS-20 doing the more like playing the MS-20 with keys, or like letting it drone on and stuff. And then having the vocals, and also using like the space echo pedal to like create more textures and everything. But then I wanted to bring the modular with me. Like I actually did this video of me and Pablo playing a Soft Crash on Fact Magazine. So that was like more like an update in how we would approach a live set now, where he has the MPC Force. It's not called, what is it? It's not even
just
MPC.
Akai Force.
Okay. And it has Wi-Fi. And
great.
So yeah, with this in that live set was more how I would approach it now. So I was using the modular with this. For that, it was just 3 songs that we did. So I just had 2 different sounds on here. But maybe if we were doing a real 1 hour live set, I would set up so that I have like 3 or 4 different sounds, and then it was controlled by BeatStep Pro, doing controlling the different sounds, so you could kind of mix between them. And then I had the drum machine doing all the drums, and then Pablo was sequencing the wave state with the Force, and then he was playing pads on his Prophet 08. So of course, if we were traveling live, we would have to make this whole setup smaller, but that was like the idea. And it's nice with 2 people, because then you don't need so much stuff relying on stems. Like, it's really mostly live. And even with my own thing, I would just want to start bringing out the modular. It was just thinking how to do everything, and kind of make pre-programmed sequences and sounds that kind of hint at what the songs are. So it's not just complete free-for-all, just some structure to it or something.
You kind of have to work up to going the modular live, because it's such a heady approach, and a lot can go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, luckily in this 15 minutes or whatever we did, it was okay. But it was I kept it quite simple.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys did it right. It sounded good, and so it worked out. Yeah. I have some fan questions from patrons.
Okay.
The first one's from Manu, and he says, "Hi, there's a theory that someone has to spend 10,000 hours to become a true expert in his field. Sometimes this happens in the early works of the artists, and they turn out to be the most interesting ones. Maybe from the time where he wasn't even a professional. Regarding this, how do you look back to your first releases? Do you think you learned a lot? How do you think your broader knowledge has influenced your sound?"
Yeah, I mean, I think it's peculiar, right? Because like I would say in more rock music, it's always like this: their first album was the best, or their second album was the best, and then afterwards they became, I don't know, too commercial or too clean or too pop. And it's always like progressing like this, that in a rock band setting. I mean that very generally. That usually it's happening, that their best material is happening when they're young and they're pissed off and they're on drugs or whatever, and it's creating this like thing that's very of the moment and very primal or something, or like very like just like of the soul or something like this. And as they progress, they're caring more about what their fans want and more money and more concerts or something like this, and then they're polishing up their sounds to reach a wider fan base. Of course, that's not always the case. Like, some have ups and downs and stuff like this, but that's like this general attitude that people have. That going, yeah, they're okay. The first album was better, but in electronic music, I find with many artists that you find that the beginning records are very cool and like primitive and have this kind of naiveness to it that sometimes creates something very beautiful, but at the same time you can hear more that that we're all learning, and that because it's more technology based. When you start out, of course, you don't know some all these things, and as like I see each record as like a practice. So each record is like an experiment, and you practice, and it keeps going, and you keep building upon what you did, or you find something else out. You have some new inspiration, whether like gear or something more, objective or subjective, and it keeps changing. And so I mean, when I look back at my own stuff, I mean, when I listen to my old stuff, when I was just doing this recently, there's some things that are really cool. I'm like, okay, I would never do that now because I would think that it's too much sounding like this or too much sounding like that. And so the difference there is so that's the difference, is that when you're approaching things and you don't know so much, you also have less rules that you're following in your head so I think that's a big difference. And so I wish sometimes that I could forget stuff or unhear stuff or something, so I would approach things just like, not blindly, but just a bit more openly, instead of doing something that, it sounds too much like that, so I won't do it. Instead, you should just be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do what I think sounds good. It doesn't matter if somebody did it before, or even if I did it before, stuff like that. But on the other hand, with more experience, you're getting the production values just getting much higher. And of course, in this kind of music, that's much appreciated.
I agree. I think electronic stuff is pretty open to growth, and the nature of it being production oriented makes it so that the growth is usually an improvement, because it's more meditative. I find, at least for me, like making the track, it's natural. It's not this kind of protracted process that writing a pop song is, so it can just continue with natural expression. And I really appreciate that about electronics.
Yeah.
Igor Rodriguez has 2 questions. I think we touched on this one before, but if you had to choose only one synth to make an album, what would it be?
Waldorf Q. And especially to make an album, I think I can make a whole album on the Waldorf Q.
I agree. Sure. That's a really good one. And then, how does an average track start for you? And then another question from Igor: what are some arrangement techniques you use?
Okay, so we can start with like the track ideas. I would say maybe the track ideas are coming from usually, before I was getting them, just because from hearing so much live music and live DJ sets and stuff, that you would hear, 2 songs mixed together or something that creates like a new song, but that's not actually, doesn't exist, right? It only exists in that moment, and you can kind of go back the next day and try and recreate those sounds that you think you heard, and thus creating a new song, with like different rhythms mixed together and stuff. Or even when I'm DJing myself or playing live, and you're playing, you're like, man, I wish the next song that I had to play would go like or something, and you can't find that, you don't have the song because it doesn't exist. You're like, okay, I know exactly what I will do tomorrow. I will make this song. And so that's where most of the ideas were coming from, was like out of the necessity of filling some void of something not existing that you want to hear. And how it would sound in your head, kind of. And then you go and try and do it. And of course, in the process of trying to make it, you go through many different directions and stuff. And then you find new things. And all of a sudden, maybe you have like 3 or 4 separate ideas that turn into something. So it's like, it's branching out. In terms of arrangement, this kind of goes back to like being more naive about things. Because now when you know more, you know how a techno track... Sorry, something's... and when you think about how a techno track is arranged, and then when you really realize that's like you want a long intro so the DJ can mix it in, and everything has to be like 16, 32, 64 bars, the hi-hats come in, and then there's a break in the middle around 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'm already falling asleep.
Be so long, and then the song comes back in, but maybe with elements out, and you save one element for the end. It's so boring.
Yeah.
Right, and that's when you know too much, right? And then when you but I find that a track is way more interesting when it's like weird and wrong, whether that's even maybe the mix is wrong and the bass line's super loud or something, but maybe that's what makes that track special. Or maybe like the intro 17 bars or something, or the break is wrong, or and that's what makes it memorable. Like, oh, remember this track? That's like, you think this is happening and it's not. And so I think that's what part of this going into something as a when you're starting out, that you don't know these things, and then you get these weird tracks that are special and memorable. Whereas if you know this shit is coming in or whatever, it's getting a little boring. I mean, I've been really more into like these really long songs, like these 10-minute tracks from Luke Slater or Rose or something, that are like very, very, very minimal. It's just like one synth sound, some bass, and some drums. And for some reason, they manipulate it through filtering and volume and stuff, and it doesn't get boring the whole time, even though it's very minimal. And I think that's really interesting. And in that regard, there's like no arrangement, because it's just like kind of one thing the whole time. And I mean, I even thought this was cool if you listen to like an older post-punk music, like Public Image is a good example, where they're doing these kind of, I call it like a dirge or something, where they're just like playing one thing over and over again, and the vocals come in and out and some guitars come in and out, but it's one thing over and over and over and over again. Nothing changes. There's no break, there's no verse, there's no chorus, there's no ups or downs. It's just like one thing the whole time, and it just creates tension. But I think that's quite interesting. No arrangement.
I'm with you on that. I think that's that meditative aspect that I touched on earlier. It's just like a natural expression, and it touches on the naivety of the naturalness, because as you said, when you get so deep into the hi-hats have to come in now, whatever, then it's predictable, and I like being surprised,
Yeah, I mean, I have this problem sometimes. When I'm recording, I record things like in multiple takes or something, but I do maybe like working with the bass line and doing the filtering. I do that like in one take, and it's very cool. And then I start to edit it to make it fit this this form, and then all of a sudden it loses something instantly. But even though you didn't really change much, so sometimes they say this a lot when recording, where you're recording like a vocalist or something, that like usually the first take is actually the best.
Yeah, totally.
So I think there's something to be said about just recording like a jam or something and being like, okay, it is what it is. Okay, it's not perfect. It's like some shitty DJ will have problems playing it because they don't know how to work with something that doesn't fit exactly to the grid. But it's too bad for them. And I mean, if you're just making tracks only to be DJ'd, then it's kind of boring anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about the goals. Like, are you trying to express yourself, or are you trying to fit into a DJ set with a cookie cutter idea,
Yeah. Yeah, but a good DJ will play that cool song and then we'll make it work.
Exactly.
So I think making stuff so that some big shitty Ibiza DJ can play it on fucking record box with some fucking Pioneer effects, because they can barely count to 4, is pointless.
Totally, man. Yeah. If you listen to all the cool records, when techno started and there was no rule, no idea, it wasn't an idea, all the records just sounded weird and different. Now there's a bit of a rubric now, and I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to these old underground Resistance records or something, their tracks are like, I don't know, 3.5 minutes long, and they're super fast, and you have to imagine back then everybody's playing vinyl, so you had to throw one track on, and it's by the time you put it on and it's going, like it's almost over, you have to have the next record, and there's like so much happening. So there was quite more difficult, and people made it work, and people say that's the best era of the music, right? Like, not like but then you have these really long songs from Luke Slater and stuff too, so it's all different.
I mean, both approaches are good, because both from the outside seem like natural extensions, like natural expressions.
Of course, because even say like Surface Noise by Planetary Assault Systems, that's having like, there's no, like the hi-hats come in, like the song's like a 10 or 11 minute song, and the hi-hats come in the last minute, really, really loud. So you have to let the whole song play to get to that point, but it's super cool. And then meanwhile, you can mix other stuff under it. But if you play that song and you don't wait for that hi-hat part, it just kind of defeated the whole purpose of the song. It's like the whole thing is it builds up like 10 minutes. People are fucked up on the dance floor, and all of a sudden that happens. They were like, wait, it feels probably like a fucking 5 lifetimes to them for this to happen. Right.
Luke Slater was like, he started doing the loop and he set the recorder on, then he was like, oh, go make some tea, and he came back, he's like, oh, the hi-hats.
No, because the whole time there has this really, I don't want to call it annoying because I really like this noise, but it goes the whole time.
Oh,
he's like he's changing something on it, a filter on it. It's like ever so slightly the whole time.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
And then he pushes the hi-hat button at one point.
Awesome. Yeah, I like Luke Slater and Planetary Soul Systems.
He has probably some of the best arrangements. I mean, okay, now I sound like I'm preaching to the choir because everybody says he's one of the best techno producers, so I don't have to convince anybody on this. But I always find that he's really good at building this tension, Or like there's so many songs like Rip the Cut or something has like
Rip
super
the Cut.
Long.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and he's pretty rock and roll. Like I know he's got that Burl recording console, which he said is rock and roll. Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah. But yeah, I think basically all techno is rooted in punk. Not just the music, but the attitude, right? So Underground Resistance is like, I don't even need to explain that because it's called Underground Resistance in punk, and we don't have to start from fucking Adam and Eve here.
Yeah.
But so like, I mean, that's already rooted in this attitude, and it's more about the attitude than just like, oh, I put guitars and vocals on my music, because that's super stupid. Anybody can do that. But having the attitude is the thing. Like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to have a bunch of money and do like fucking ice bucket challenge with Paris Hilton, or am I doing this because like fuck everybody? And it should be the latter, right?
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be music that's supposed to be, and once again tied to a location that's influencing social change and social gathering between people that are part of a counterculture and outsiders of society. And so if people are coming from this outside in and trying to and fucking everything up, I mean, they did. You see it now. That's exactly what happened. People said, "Oh, you can make money from this, a lot of money." So they come in and take it all away with like anything. Gentrification of techno.
Yeah, so, business techno.
Yeah. Voila. There you go.
Yes, it's been co-opted.
Yeah, but I mean, so the point is, then of course a lot of techno artists are coming from directly this background, like as you said, Regis, even, I don't know, CJ Boland or something. He was also playing more wavy post-punk EBM. He was into this whole thing. A lot of people are coming from this scene.
Yeah, I mean, Moritz von Oswald.
It's all the Berlin guys. I mean, like it's like, I mean, it's paint, the paint, what's the saying? It's just paintings on the wall.
The writings on the wall.
Right, the writings on the wall.
Yeah, I think now with the new generation of producers, by that I mean those us and younger, that spirit is being reclaimed a bit, which is really exciting, because it's like a next wave of people trying to express the same emotion in a new way.
Yeah, I think it happened for us too, that when you realize that in this more techno world that it's so connected to what we are coming from, and then many people also realize that, or maybe you weren't even into this more post-punk industrial stuff before, but for people that this music also gives us the same feeling as it gives them, and it doesn't matter how old you are or how long you've been into music. If it like really speaks to you, it really speaks to you. And I think when you make this connection between the two, that like, okay, this music can take place like in a crazy techno club as well, that it's like it's really like a revelation or something. And like I said, this music is created with the spirit of punk or
rebellion.
protest or counterculture rebellion. Yeah. And I think that's the point. And then when you lose that, we said it before.
Yeah, then the spirit dies, both on the production side and on just the general experience side. I mean, it's also kind of interesting because when I read about old scenes or hear about them from, people like Testy or whatever, and they tell me the stories of how hard it was to get into this and become a part of it, that like people didn't want them around, people didn't want to help them out, tell them how to program a sequencer, all this kind of stuff. We have a lot of openness now.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing I like about this, coming from a more indie rock scene where people are just fucking sharks. It's so bad. I never want to deal with that again. What nasty people. Okay, you could say like, okay, just some techno people going for the money or something, but that's like a walk in the park compared to how people act there, like really immature with this rock star attitude and everything. And in the techno scene, I think it's more just coming from the history of it that you said okay, maybe it was a little rough in Hamilton, but in general, it's supposed to be more open, loving thing, and people are supportive of each other, and I found that I really appreciated that, because I mean that also helped us a lot too, of that everybody was just so open and giving you a chance, like who the fuck is this guy or something, and they're giving you a chance and really open, and that's really cool. And that should also stay. So we can say what we want about new people or whatever, but it's like it's good that everybody has a chance, and trends come and go, but whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think everyone deserves a shot, and this was also my experience too upon arriving here in Berlin. It was like from the first day, the first gig I played, there was such a feeling of like openness, acceptance, like, yeah, cool, come play our party. We're going to treat you right. We're going to pay you. We're happy that you're here. It's such a...
Well, we're also coming from America where they don't do that at all.
Oh my God, yeah. I can tell you, like, I played at Glasslands.
You could pay us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that show at Glasslands, this promoter was trying to get me to pay because very little people came. I was like, dude, I'm not fucking paying for this shit. I'm out of here. Yeah. That was a constant thing in New York.
Pay to play. That's the craziest thing.
Oh yeah, sell tickets for the show and then you get a good spot depending on how many tickets you sell.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's like, aren't you the promoter?
No, they don't want to do anything.
So I think that was really cool. I think we nailed it.
Covered a lot of ground.
Thanks for coming on the show.
No problem.
Yeah, and have fun in Tbilisi. I'm really curious how... I think we have like a second delay in the audio. Yeah. But I'm really curious how your productions are going to change from the different environment.
I don't know. Probably not so much. But yeah,
probably not.
But yeah, I mean, the next thing I'm going to do is try and make it more minimal. Let's say more like recording and not editing it so much and doing so much crazy stuff. Not because I'm lazy.
No, I feel that. I'm also trying to get away from editing. I want to do 2-track from now on.
Yeah.
Let's see. All
right. Well, I'll talk to you.
Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you liked that. More coming soon. If you'd like to know who's coming up and submit questions for them, you can do that by subscribing to my Patreon. Catch you later.